Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today in our Krypt webinar session. I would like to start us off with some introductions. My name is Arthur Kuznetsov, and I'm an account executive at Krypt. My main duty as an AE involves helping customers find the best solution for their supply chain. Being joined today by one of our consultants, Abhijit. Abhijit, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Arthur. Greetings, everyone. My name is Abhijit, and I am a SAP GTS consultant. I've been in the consulting space for the last 8 years, and currently I'm with Krypt, and I'm leading this Krypt Cloud initiative. Over to you, Arthur.
Fantastic. Thank you, Abhijit. The agenda for today's webinar is to provide our listeners with a brief background on Krypt, why trade compliance is important, why choose the cloud, Krypt Cloud introduction, the architecture behind it, the solution bundles that Krypt offers, the system overview, and last, we will have a Q&A at the end of the presentations. Now, before we get started with Krypt's background, I would like to encourage our listeners to ask questions using the GoToWebinar, and we will address them at the end of the session. So I will start us off with a brief background on Krypt and our experiences within the SAP supply chain space. Krypt is an SAP certified strategic partner, which was founded in 2008 and has been an industry leader in providing consulting services around the SAP supply chain space since then. Based out of Santa Clara, California, Krypt grew a national presence in the US as well as rest of the world. Now we have offices located in Ireland, UK to cover Europe, Middle East, and Africa, as well as an office in Bangalore, India to cover Asia Pacific countries. With a broad network such as this, we have the ability to work on projects worldwide. Krypt has built its reputation by having the largest SAP GTS team in the world and being able to deliver its project on time and under budget. Krypt is also an expert in implementing a variety of SAP products such as the GRC Suite, TM, EWM, Ariba, HANA, S4HANA, and Fiori. With multiple years of implementing over 100 such projects, and having over 800,000 consulting hours under its belt, Krypt has also been able to deliver in-house products to complement these SAP investments. In fact, Krypt has so much knowledge and expertise around the SAP supply chain space that we have co-authored 7 books and have over 70 white papers around the SAP supply chain space. Now, these papers cover a variety of scenarios and experiences our team has encountered throughout the years of working on multiple projects. We do not sell these books directly, but you can purchase them online. Feel free to shoot us an email after this webinar and we can direct you to the proper website. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Krypt has developed a variety of in-house products and offerings to help companies leverage their SAP investments. One being Krypt Visibility. Visibility is an out-of-the-box analytics software that Krypt has developed. With one click, you can review your data and assess your KPIs around your supply chain. We have Krypt Cloud, which is the focus of this webinar. We will discuss this in more detail further in the webinar. Krypt Cloud gives you the ability to host your supply chain on cloud platform. We also have Krypt Connect, which is a connector or transitionary that allows the ability to connect SAP solutions with non-SAP ERPs. We have Krypt UX, which leveraging Fiori and personas to create an end-user friendly dashboard to minimize employee onboard time with a new system. Krypt UX has the ability to mirror your current system layout with your new investment for easy functionality. And last but not least, we have Krypt Concierge, an annual maintenance package for an ease of mind. We offer to monitor, update, and fix any issues that might arise within your new system, offering our clients a peace of mind. Now, our next slide showcases the customers we have worked with or currently are working with at the moment. I am sure most of you will recognize a couple of these brands. If you would like and think one of these companies is similar to what you do, please feel free to reach out to us and we can send you a case study on any of these. So on the next slide, we'll get into why global trade compliance is important now more than ever. So the global supply chain is a complex machine. Every day there are new laws, tariffs, embargoes, and trade agreements that are being put into place. In order for any organization to thrive in a world economy, they have to be in compliance with these new laws and regulations. There is an increasing amount of trade agreements almost on a daily basis, and it varies by country. it's getting more complex and harder to keep track of them, especially if you have hundreds, if not thousands of products. Without a proper trade compliance software, there is a chance of human error of missing one of these laws or regulations, which could result in a major fine to the organization as well as damages to the revenue. Now, without an automated trade solution in space, your organization runs the risk of human error and risk exposure to penalties. These penalties are growing bigger and bigger by the day. The amount of time it takes to file customs paperwork and the amount of labor needed increases for the company as well. But with a trade solution such as SAP GTS on cloud, you can have a peace of mind for your organization. Depending on which bundle you choose from Krypt to support your global trade compliance, you can rest assured that you will drastically decrease, if not eliminate, the risk of breaking any of the trade laws and avoid penalties to your organization. With our solution, you can integrate your entire supply chain to communicate smoothly no matter what your ERP is. You will have the ability to file customs electronically, have dashboards to monitor your whole supply chain, and most importantly, be compliant. Now, I want to ask our audience a quick poll question. What kind of trade solution are you currently using? You will see a question pop up. If you can just go ahead and answer it for us, just to get an idea of
Thanks for everyone who's voted. We'll just leave it open for about another 10 more seconds. We're still collecting a few votes here. Okay, great. Just so everyone knows, it actually really interesting results. 1/3 of you exactly have a manual or homegrown system. Another third have a trade management solution on-premise, and another third of you are using the cloud.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that, Kayleen. So what are the options that companies have for trade compliance? Every organization is different, and I guess it will vary case by case. There are multiple options available to them and how they want to be compliant in the global trade arena. Let's talk about the most common ones. One option is to do the whole process manually. Manually file customs paperwork with brokers, manually check sanction party lists, deny party lists, embargoes, and trade agreements. And there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. However, it could be a tedious and time-consuming way to go about it. There's also a chance of running into human error factors as well. Another way to be globally trade compliant is with an on-premise implementation of a compliance software such as SAP GTS. This would automate almost all aspects of your company's supply chain with trade compliance. This approach will automate your screening processes, your electronic custom filing, and make sure your organization is fully compliant within the required rules and regulations. The downside of this, of course, is the cost of rolling out such a system. The cost of entry of obtaining such a solution could have significant upfront costs with licensing fees, hosting, implementation, and of course, employee onboarding. So you might ask what the third option is. Well, the third option is a cloud solution. So why a cloud solution? The cloud is becoming a popular alternative for organizations searching for approaches to develop and grow without investing extra resources into innovation framework. With a cloud solution, you minimize the initial expenses. Licensing fees can be significant for any organization, but the cloud solution will help you manage these costs. So our solution is Krypt Cloud, and why Krypt Cloud is the right choice for your organization. Krypt offers an SAP-approved cloud option to house your SAP modules. We are the only cloud-certified partner to host SAP GTS on cloud. Krypt can deliver a pre-configured system out of the box for rapid deployment. This will eliminate the time to go live and give you compliance as quick as 2 weeks. With Krypt Cloud, you have a much lower cost of entry. We are offering a subscription model based on a 3 or 5 year service with a one-time upfront fee. Now that upfront fee includes implementation, data content, and licensing. We partner with some of the largest, most secure hosting partners, which means you won't have to worry about maintaining the system. We do it for you. We'll provide your organization with full-on support. Now, there are 4 solution bundles we can offer with our model, which we will discuss further in the webinar. We break down GTS into bundles so that our customers can purchase only what they need for their organization. And as you can see with this on our next slide, the cloud hosting architecture. Now, our clients will have the ability to either be on the private cloud, where they're the only tenant, or they will have the ability to pick a public cloud, where they will be sharing with multiple tenants. And I will go ahead and hand it over to Abhijit from here to go over our solution bundles.
Thank you, Arthur. And hello, everyone, once again. So these are the 4 solution bundles that Arthur was mentioning a little while ago, which we have on offer on Krypt Cloud. So the first solution bundle is SPL and Embargo Screening. So just to give a brief explanation of what it is about. So it is about screening your customers and vendors, or maybe the documents, against certain SPL lists which are available in the system, or screening the documents against the embargo settings which are available in the system and which can be updated from time to time. The second bundle talks about export processing. So this solution basically is related to the various mandates which are received from the customs authorities of various countries. So for example, there can be a requirement for a particular form which is required by a certain country when an export has to be done from that particular country. So those kind of forms are available to be sent to the customs authorities for export clearances and export processing. Import processing is also very similar to what export processing does, where we provide pre-configured forms and we provide ways of communicating with the customs authorities for customs clearances on import shipments. And the last solution bundle that we have is basically on preference management. So it is all about determining the preferential treatment for a product, so that we could save on the duties that we need to pay when a particular product needs to be imported. So these are the brief overview of the 4 solution bundles that we have. Now we will get into details into each one of them, and we will start with the one that can be launched at the quickest possible time. So we are talking about a launch in 1 week, and that solution bundle is basically sanctioned party list and embargo screening. So going a little bit deeper into this particular solution bundle, that we have on offer. So what we have in the system is basically solution party lists which are uploaded into the system. These solution party lists are sourced by us from different third-party data providers, and these lists are continuously updated by different organizations like the United Nations, European Union, and as well as other organizations across the world, like FBI, and they give us this list, and we accumulate those lists and upload it into the system. So once these lists are uploaded into the system, what the business can do is basically screen their customers or their vendors against this list to ensure that they are not doing business with anybody who's there on the list, which is basically will result in a compliance issue. So we can also do the screening on the transaction level, which is basically like a sales order or a purchase order, which can be screened just to make sure that the transaction is being done in an absolutely compliant manner. The second part of this particular bundle talks about embargo. As we know that there are different embargoes which are imposed by different organizations on countries. So the embargo settings can also be done in the system very easily. And once we have those settings in the system, then the system will ensure that there is no shipment being done to any country which is under any kind of an embargo. Thus, again, that ensures the compliance of international trade. So let's go a little deeper into the system and see what are the kind of screens and what are the kind of functionalities that we have on offer. So to start with, let's look at the sanction party lists that we load into the system. So as you can see on the screen, we have got validity dates and we have got names and addresses of different entities with whom we should not be doing business. This is a list which is continuously updated by us, and it's always available in the system for screening. So once we screen our customers and vendors, or once we screen our sales orders or purchase orders, then there are certain follow-on functions which a business needs to do. So to do those follow-on functions, we have various reports. So in the next slide, I'll show you a few of those. So this is a sort of a report where we can see the customers and vendors who have been screened under sanctioned party list, and there has been a block which has been set on those customers or vendors. We can rescreen those customers and vendors if we need to understand what was the reason for the block, which part of the name or which part of the address matched with the sanctioned party list that we had on the system, and then we can do a better analysis of why the block happened. If the business feels that okay, this block is something which is not really 100% correct, or maybe we can make an exception, then we can manually release the particular block, but we have to give it a release reason so that there is an audit trail which is maintained and we do not get into any kind of compliance issues in the future. Moving on, we can also perform other functions on this kind of reports which are available, like we can move those business partners or customers and vendors into a positive list, which would ensure that the system will not be screening those customers and vendors again and again. These can be done with, especially with customers and vendors with whom we have been doing business for a long time, and we know that okay, we are absolutely safe doing business with them. On the opposite side, we also can move certain customers or vendors on the negative list with whom we can be sure that okay, definitely we do not want to do any kind of business with them. We do not want to make any kind of exceptions with them, and they will always remain blocked, and that will ensure 100% compliance of the transactions. And as you can see in this report, we can also check other data like the checkboxes, which would easily tell us that okay, these are the partners which are blocked. We can get the screening, the date of the screening, when the screening had happened, and we can also look at till what date these partners would remain blocked in the system. We can also run similar reports on the transactions that we have, like the sales orders and the purchase orders, and we can see if there is any SPL block on the sales orders. As you can see, it's very easily understandable from these kind of reports because they are through the traffic lights. So what here the red traffic lights would mean that there is a block on these particular documents. We can also check the logs to find out again what is the reason for the block, which is the business partner, which is the customer which has been blocked, and why it has been blocked. And if we feel that yes, this is a genuine block, we can confirm this block so that this transaction will not proceed any further in the system. Now, looking at the follow-on functions which we need to do, like supposing if there is a document which is blocked and we still want to make an exception because we checked in the audit log and we found that okay, this is an exception that we can make because maybe it's an important customer or it's a first-time business, whatever may be the business reason. So we can manually release those documents, but we have to give a release reason so that the audit trail is maintained for that release and we are compliant in the future. Similarly, let's also look at how the embargo master data is set up in the system. So it's very easy setup. We can just select the embargo countries that we want to activate for embargoes, and we can do the activation through simple checkboxes and maintain the validity dates of those countries. So that would ensure that there is no transaction which will happen whenever any of these countries are involved in those transactions. Similarly, when we are screening our documents for embargo lists that we have maintained on the system, then we can do certain follow-on functions. We can check the document numbers which are under the embargo block. We can check the audit log to find out which country has resulted in this embargo block. And we can again take a business decision of releasing those documents with a release reason so that we have the audit trail and we remain compliant. Moving on, we'll talk about a little bit about the export processing solution bundle. So as I had mentioned earlier briefly, the export processing solution bundle offers a lot of pre-configured forms that we have in the system already available. These forms are typically like the certificate of origin form or the commercial invoice form, which are required by almost every country when you're doing an export out of that country. It is possible that we can print those forms, or we can email those forms to our brokers or our clearing agents. We can also connect the system to the customs systems of a particular country, so that we are communicating with the customs systems online, and that reduces a lot of time and we are much more compliant. We can also maintain classifications for products, which is a very important part of export processing, because each product needs to be classified either through a commodity code or through our HTS code, so that the duties and the are properly determined. So all these things are available in customs in the export processing solution bundle. And let's look at the screens of export transactions. So over here, as we can see, this is a very typical export declaration document that you can see in the system. In this particular document, we have a check where we will ensure that every mandatory data required by the customs authorities are available in the system before we generate any form to be sent out to the customs authorities, or before we do any kind of online communication. So there are various methods of communication available, like sending out an email with an attachment or doing an online communication. And this mandatory data will enable that we send the accurate and confirmed data to the customs authorities for export clearances. Moving on, these are the kind of forms, as I was talking about, which are pre-configured and available in the system. This form currently does not have any data, but then when we are configuring a system for a particular business, this form will be populated with the relevant data, and these forms can be sent out to the customs authorities or brokers or clearing agents. Staying in the export transaction screens, you can see that there are a lot of information which are available in that screen. We can see what are the duties and how the costs have been calculated. We can also check the entire flow of the documents which has resulted in this export transaction, so that we have the entire traceability of a particular transaction available in the system. Moving on, we will go to the import processing part, which is very similar to what the export processing is all about. So here again, we have pre-configured forms which are available, and we can do the import processing even before the goods have reached our borders. We can send out these forms to the brokers and get the import clearances, and so that the goods do not wait at the border, and we can reduce our costs over there. We can connect the system again to customs authorities and send data electronically to them. And we can also configure the system to calculate the duties and taxes automatically for any particular import transaction. So let's go a little deeper and see the screens available for this import processing solution also. So here again, we have a import transaction screen where we have the import declaration document number, which has been created in the system. And we again check for all the mandatory data before we do any kind of filing with the customs authorities for import clearances. And we have similar kind of communication methods available for import processing also, where we could send printouts of the forms that are required, or we could electronically communicate with the customs authorities. So moving on, a little bit more details of the data that is available. So we can also look at the geographical information, which is of the physical movement of the goods that are happening when an import transaction takes place. So as we can see over here, that for this particular transaction, the goods are moving from US to Australia. We can also check who are the vendors involved in that particular transaction, and these kind of transactions are this kind of informations rather are also available in the export transactions, and vice versa. Moving on to the last solution bundle that we have on offer, it's about preference management, and as I mentioned, so it's all about calculating the preferential value for a particular product. So once we are able to calculate the preferential value for a particular product based on a free trade agreement, then we will be able to pay reduced duties or zero duties for that product whenever we are importing that product. So we have different kind of free trade agreements which are already pre-configured in the system, like NAFTA or EUFTA, which is the European Union Free Trade Agreement. So once these free trade agreements are available in the system, then what the system does is basically it can calculate the value of the regional value content, what we call it in the system, and determines that, okay, whether we can give a preferential treatment for this particular product. So let's look at the screens and try and understand a little bit more. So as you can see over here in the screens, that these kind of preferential rules are loaded into the system per HTS codes. So the harmonized tariff codes are basically used for calculating of the preferential treatment, and each HTS codes has got a particular calculation method behind it. So based on the product that is classified with a particular HTS code, that the respective calculation method gets called in, and the preferential treatment for a particular product is determined. So once that product is determined, then we can see the result of that particular calculation of preferential treatment on the screen, and we can see whether the product has got a preference or it does not have a preference. So this is a brief overall view of the 4 solution bundles that we are offering currently. And this also brings us to an end of the system overview on this particular webinar. And now we would open the forum for your questions. So over to you, Kalini.
Thanks, Abhijit, and thank you, Arthur. As mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, if you do have any questions, you can type them into the questions panel in your GoToWebinar screen. Also, we have some contact information listed here. If you would like to set up a call or just further information that you'd rather take offline, feel free to reach out with any questions at all. Arthur and Abhijit, it looks like we have a few questions that have come in. The first one is, can Krypt Cloud work with Oracle ERP?
No, I can take
yes. That. Sorry, Arthur, go ahead.
Yeah, we can utilize our in-house Krypt Connect tool at no extra cost to our customers, and we can absolutely integrate your Oracle ERP with GTS Cloud offering from Krypt.
Okay.
That can definitely be done.
Yeah, and if I may add, it's not only Oracle ERP, we can connect, in fact, any non-SAP system also.
Okay. Another question here is, can the system be connected? Oh, well, this is actually a very similar question. Can the system be connected to any non-SAP system?
Yes, it can be connected to any kind of non-SAP system using Krypt Connect.
Okay. Another question we have is in regards to the bundles. Can you add on other bundles as we go, or do we have to make the decision to purchase the ones we need from the beginning?
You can purchase other bundles later on. As your organization grows, you can definitely add on other bundles. We do suggest to start off with the solution bundle number 1, which is the SPL. I guess it could act as a foundation for your trade compliance software and for future add-ons that you will need for your organization.
Okay, thanks, Arthur. We have a few more questions here. One is, what about the training on the new system? So maybe if someone can just, if one of you could just speak a little bit about the training for Krypt Cloud.
Yeah, sure, I'll take that up. So yes, definitely we can provide all the trainings that are required. So we have a particular program set up for training the business users or the key business users so that they can support the day-to-day operations, and we are always there to support from the back end for any kind of new requirements or new enhancements that are required.
Okay. Another question here is, how much does this solution cost?
I'll take that one. It will vary on the solution bundle that you will want to purchase. There's a one-time low-cost initial payment to purchase the license, the data content, and the implementation services to get you started. It also depends on whether you pick a 3 or a 5-year subscription. So each organization will have a unique specification and unique business case. So we can discuss that off the webinar further on a separate call to get into more details.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, I think it might be important, if you don't mind, that I add that, you know, as the Krypt Cloud solution, all of those pieces that you mentioned, you know, the license, data content, implementation services, all of that's bundled together. So yes, there's the initial payment and then, you know, the subscription fee over, you know, whatever period of time you choose, 3 or 5 years. But all of that's bundled together. And I guess that's one of the other benefits of Krypt Cloud. Let's see. Another question here is, what event triggers the start of the import processing creation?
Okay, I'll take that one. So the import processing creation can be started by different events. So it depends upon the business process a company follows. So it can be based on an advanced shipping notification received by the business. It can be based on a inbound delivery document, or it can be also based on a purchase order.
Okay, thank you. And one other question here is, can the system be customized for specific requirements, or will it only provide some standard functionalities?
Okay, I'll go for this one also. So yes, it definitely can be fully customized. However, the key part over here is the amount of customization would also affect the time taken to have the system up and ready.
Okay, thank you. At the moment, that looks like that's all the questions that we have. I do want to encourage anyone who has further questions or would need clarification to reach out. We'd be happy to just speak with you one-on-one, or if email is more comfortable, that's fine too. But thank you everyone who attended, and thank you Arthur and Abhijit for presenting on Krypt Cloud today. And we hope to hear more from you guys. We're always open to feedback from the webinar. If you feel like you need more information, we are here to help. So thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.